Hello once again, everybody. This is Rich with High Percent Trading and the Grail trading system. This training video is going to go over the Grail right edge indicator. Now, I've gone ahead and put the Grail right edge indicator on the chart. When you do that, you'll notice you're going to get a tab up here at the top that says Grail right edge. This is the Nasdaq Contract. And the first thing you're going to notice is you're going to get a series of boxes. They're either going to be green or red, and then the profit target boxes are cyan colored. Now, these boxes are trend specific, meaning that when they're green, we're in an uptrend, and basically it's following the Grail DT. The Grail TT indicator is a trend indicator. If you were to put that on the chart, you would notice it does control the color of the boxes. So when we're in an uptrend, it's green, and when we're in a downtrend, it's red. I have found the best way to use the Grail right edge in conjunction with your other indicators, and especially with the Grail BTS Trader, is to wait for the signals when, for example, when we're in an uptrend and the bars are blue and we're waiting for a Grail 2 entry like we have here. We're going to come down into the Grail box. In this case, it's green because the trend is up. And then we get our arrow on the Grail 2 entry. That's the first type of entry that we have on the long side. And again, that's using Grail 2. Generally speaking, we are not going to get a Grail 1 entry using these boxes. If you notice, if you look at your Grail 1 entries, you probably see that they're actually opposite. So initially, the right edge is very powerful in conjunction with the trend and in conjunction with the Grail 2 setup. So if we look at this chart in the Nasdaq from today, we can see that we came down and we had a Grail 2 entry here in the right edge box. One of the best ways to use your stops is you can use the opposite side of the box, and I'll talk about a re-entry as well, but it provides for fairly small stops on the entry. So this was our entry. You notice once that happens in real time, as we start to move, you'll start to get short-term profit-taking boxes. These are generally scalp boxes, and you can see that once we had the box entry here, we came up for an initial scalp. Then, of course, the market continued to move higher. If I scroll a little bit further, Nasdaq was on a big run, and if we look for the next trade signal setups in the Nasdaq, we can see that we came back down again to the box. This was a Grail 2 entry again right here. Notice we did not break below the bottom of the box, and then we came up into the profit targets again. We came down again into the box. This was a Grail 1 short. Remember what I said is typically if you get a Grail 1, it's going to be usually opposite to the boxes. So again, they were really designed to trade with the trend. And then you can see a little bit further on, we had another entry here using the right edge box and the Grail 2 setup. So those are very powerful combinations. Likewise, going the other direction, when the trend is turned to the downside using the Grail DT, you can notice now we're getting red boxes and cyan boxes, target boxes down here. So these are signifying short entries, and just like we had the long entries on the Grail 2, we also have the short entries. And here's a good instance where we came up to the right edge box. We had a Grail 2 short setup. All right. We came back up and touched the box, and I'm going to talk about this type of entry after we finish the analysis on the Grail 2s. You can see we had a Grail 2 entry here, and we didn't quite get to the box, but we were still working within this one. Even though the box has ended, I'll look out to see that we've not violated the top of it. And then, of course, this was another Grail 2 entry here. So again, it's a good combination. Remember, on your Grail 2 entries, generally your bars are going to be blue for your long entries and red for your shorts. And so that was another good short entry here. Now I'm going to talk about situations where we don't get a Grail arrow, but they're still good trade setups, and this can enhance your trading. So I want to show those examples now as well. So if we come back to where we started this analysis right after the pit open in the Nasdaq, if you recall, at the beginning of this video, this was your Grail 2 entry. Now, a lot of times in a very strong market, as this was, the Nasdaq started to take off and trade through. There'll be a lot of times when we can come down to the right edge box, the Grail right edge box. We haven't gone deep enough to get a Grail 2 entry, but we come down, we touch the box, the top of the box in the case of a long, or maybe penetrate a little bit, get a reversal bar, and then you can take a trade. Now that's a manual trade, but again, you can see that's a very good trade. Let me see if I can find some other examples of that. Here's another example. This was your Grail 2 entry here. It really didn't result in much, and if you had a tight stop under here, you would have gotten stopped out. Of course, if your stop was under the mid part or under this box, you still would have been okay. But this is the example that I'm showing. We came down, our bars are still blue, our box is still green. We came down to the Grail box, touched it or penetrated, and then reversed up. Same thing happened here, and the same thing happened here. All right, and so again, you can see that these are very good trade setups, even if you don't get the Grail 2 entry. Okay. Conversely, on the opposite end, let's take a look at some short entries mimicking that. All right, here's a situation where the trend changed. Nasdaq started selling off. We went to the red right edge boxes. We came up to the red box. Okay, we did not go deep enough to trigger a Grail 2 short, but still came up, touched the bottom of the box in this case, or even penetrated it and got a reversal bar. That's a very good entry on a short entry. So again, keep that in mind when you're trading. These are ways to take additional trades when you're not quite getting enough in the way of a setup with your other indicators here for a Grail 2, and usually because the trend is, in this case, very strong for a long or very weak for a short. The same thing happened over here. We came up, we got the Grail 2 entry. The top of the box didn't quite hold. We came up to the next Grail right edge. Everything was still good. Our bars were red. We were in a downtrend. It just touched or penetrated the bottom of the box, and then from there sold off. Let me show this part too. Now, one thing you'll notice when you're dealing with this is generally these boxes don't get stretched out for long periods, okay? As a general rule of thumb, and it's a general rule of thumb, you should be after about 7 or 8 bars. In other words, if we enter a box, in this case the short, if after 7 or 8 bars we are not moving to get out of this box, in other words, because it's a short moving down, okay, that's kind of your warning that the trade is going to fail, and it's going to, in this case, go higher. Let's take a look at over here. So, for example, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes on a red. All right, we're starting to get elongated, and we're moving towards the upper end of the box. Okay, this is true about 80 to 85% of the time. So again, it's a good monitor if you're in here. You're trying to get a trade. You're trying to have this market sell off, but the market's not cooperating because you've got some buying coming in. So this is a good indication on a reading that if you haven't started moving to the opposite end of the box in the direction of your trend, after about 7 or 8 bars, chances are pretty good that that trade's not going to work out. Okay. Now let's talk about some additional types of entries, typically when we have yellow bars, and I'm going to cover that next. All right, now this is the example that I wanted to show. This is more of a finesse type trade. It's going to be more of a situation where the markets are starting to consolidate and move sideways. And so the following rule is as follows. When you have blue bars and then you have yellow bars followed by following blue, so we had blue going to yellow, our trend basically overall is still up, okay? And so if you choose to, you can still take these trade setups when you get into the right edge boxes. In this case, we're only looking at long trades because we had a situation where we have yellow following blue, okay? Most of these trades will pretty much always, probably 99% of the time, take place below the EMA, because by its very nature, that is the trade setup. But again, let me point out the trades. And again, you'll see that this is generally when markets are consolidating, moving sideways, trying to digest gains, but they're still good trade setups. So we have yellow bars following blue. We came down into the right edge box. That was your entry. Notice we came up, hit the target box, pulled back down into the right edge box, reversed up. That was your entry. Came down into the right edge box, reversed up. That was your entry. Down into the right edge box, reversed up, entry, entry, and entry. So it's still a good way to trade. You'll get some nice scalps off of this, and then sometimes you'll catch a very big move to the upside when the market takes off. Let me see if I can find an example on the short side. So what we're going to look for is going to be yellow bars following red. All right, so this is the example I'm looking for. This is crude oil from a few days back. Notice we have red bars. And we went to yellow. So we now have yellow bars following red. We came up to the right edge box, reversed, and came down. Okay, that trade worked out fairly well. We continue. We have, again, yellow bars following red. We came up through the right edge box. Even though we penetrate the right edge box, as long as we're staying yellow, we're not moving to blue, don't have a problem. I just wait for the bar to reverse again and take the trade with your stop up here. Sometimes, we'll drive through with a little impetus. That's what happened here. So we had yellow bars following red again, came up, reversed. Yellow bars up to the right edge box, reversed. Back into the right edge box, reversed. Went up through again on a push through the box, reversed, and went down. So again, we were good the whole way, just using these trade setups. So again, these notice all of these trades that are occurring when you're having yellow following red, we're pretty much always above the EMA. When you have yellow following blue, you're pretty much always below the EMA. That's okay. If that doesn't bother you, you can see that they're good trades. Those trades aren't for everybody. If you just want to stick with the strength, then just stay with the strength. But the way I trade it, I'll do both. Here's an example of copper. Again, on the short side, notice what was happening here. We had blue bars followed by yellow. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about this area right in here. This is I'm going to circle back so you can see something in particular about this, but what I want to concentrate is on over here. We then went to red bars, okay? Red bars, and then yellow. So we had yellow followed by red. So coming up through the right edge box, reversal bar down. Now this trade didn't work, and like I said, they don't always work. Nothing always works, but we still stayed yellow following red. We came up to the next right edge box, reversed, came down to the target box. Still staying yellow, right edge box, reversed, coming down towards the target box. Back up into the right edge box again, yellow, reversed, and then broke, and then of course we went back to red for our normal trade setups. Okay, so again, those are generally very powerful setups. Normally you won't be getting arrows triggered on your Grail BTS trader because these really are BTS Grail BTS 3 trades. Okay, and most of the time the Grail 3s are turned off. I can show an example where I turn it on, and I'll show that, but I wanted to show this example here. Some of you might be saying, well, okay, we have blue bars, we're selling off, we went to yellow, okay, we didn't go red, we had blue bars selling off, went to yellow, came down through the right edge box, and reversed. That's an entry. It's a scary entry. It looks like it's never going to stop, but it is an entry. But what I wanted to point out is as follows. We eventually got a trend change down here on the DT. And so as we move back up, we didn't have a cyan target box. We actually had a red target box, or a red right edge box. That's because our trend changed. But you can still use those as your target box. It doesn't happen very often, but we came down. We went to yellow bars through the right edge box. If you took the long trade, that can become your target box now. Even though it's not cyan, it's the same principle. So that could become your target box. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. Let me just show an example here. I'm going to turn on the Grail BTS Trader 3 and you'll see what I'm talking about as far as these trades up here. All right, so for the most part, when we're in the room, we don't really follow the Grail 3 setups, okay? But I do want to show how you can use these if you are interested in trading them. I went ahead and turned on the Grail 3. You're going to see that probably 95% of the time it's always going to be when your bars are yellow. And again, this isn't recommended for everybody. I'm showing this in case that you're interested in it. And these are just the normal Grail 3 BTS trader setups. Okay, we're using the chop. We're using reversal bars. These are the conservative reversal bars, the 1 and 1. We're using the Grail BTS of the settings of 1 minus 1, meaning we're looking for yellow following red for shorts, yellow following blue for longs. And we're using the outer limits, okay? Notice the EMA is not being used because, like I said, 99% of these trades were going to be opposite to the EMA. So remember when I said we were coming down? We had blue bars going to yellow, right? So we had yellow following blue. We came in our setup into the right edge box. That was the Grail 3 arrow triggering, okay? We then went to red bars. We had yellow following red. We came up into the right edge box. That was a Grail 3, and that's the one I said that didn't work. But then here was the Grail 3 here and the Grail 3 entry here, okay? Some of you might be saying, well, we came into the box here. How come we didn't get a Grail 3 arrow? Because our outer limits wasn't high enough, okay? But again, that's a manual entry. So again, if you like that, you can set it if you want to follow it and use it in conjunction with the Grail 3 and use it in conjunction with the right edge boxes. You can. Notice, again, I'll show the settings if anybody's interested in that. So again, on the Grail 3, I turned it on. Of course, my arrows are the lime and fuchsia color. And what are my boxes that I'm checking? The chop, the reversal bars, the conservative 1-1, the BTS with 1 minus 1. That's yellow following red, yellow following blue, and the outer limits. Okay. Again, that trade setup's not for everybody. If you're interested in doing that or following it, those are your settings. Sometimes you can get really lucky, and I want to show this. This is trading copper from the 8th to the 9th, and sometimes you can just rip off trade after trade after trade using this setup again. And just to show, these were Grail 2 shorts here in the right edge box. You can see every time we came up, Grail 2 short. This would have been your yellow following red that I indicated, yellow following red, yellow following red. That's a Grail 3, Grail 2, into the box, Grail 2, Grail 2, Grail 2, into the box, Grail 2, into the box, Grail 2. So sometimes you can get on a long roll like this and you can make a lot of money. Doesn't happen very often, maybe about once a week. But again, that's the power of trading using these combination setups. Okay, I think I've pretty much covered everything that you would probably want to know trading this. So again, review the video. If you have any questions, just review it again. We'll bring this up again in the workshops on generally on Wednesday, and of course I can answer questions when we're in the room. Okay, but if there's any parts of these that we've covered, just go back and review it in the video, and I think you're going to see if you use this combination, it's going to open up a few more trades for you, but it's going to give you a very strong combination of trading so that you can reach your goals of being profitable every trading session. Okay, so again, thanks for watching, and I hope this was educational. I hope you learned pretty much everything you wanted to learn about using the Grail right edge in your trading. Okay, so thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the rooms. Take care now. Bye-bye.